It was late afternoon when the city began to glow with that soft golden light up, the kind that makes you think of old summers and memories long stored away. Michael adjusted the mirror in his cab, watching people hurry past, each one chasing something unseen. He had long stopped chasing. These days, he just drove via mile after mile, hour after hour, trying to keep the bills paid and the quiet inside his heart from getting too loud. He checked the clock. Almost 5. If traffic stayed kind, he could pick up his daughter, Emily, from the after-school program by 6. She was 11 now, a bright-eyed, full of questions he sometimes didn't know how to answer. Her mother had passed when Emily was 4, and since then, Michael had learned that love often meant showing up even when you're tired. Smiling even when the world forgets to smile back. His radio hummed softly an old tune from the 70s. The kind his father used to whistle while fixing the family car. For a brief moment, the scent of engine oil and fresh-cut grass filled his mind, and he remembered how his dad would pat his shoulder and say, "Son, no matter what happens, just keep your heart kind." That memory carried him through more hard days than he could count. That dispatcher's voice crackled through the speaker. "Pick up at Silverline Tower. VIP client. Don't be late." Michael sighed softly. Silverline Tower meant corporate folks, people who rarely looked at the driver, only at their phones or watches. Still, he nodded to himself and turned toward the building. The woman waiting at the curb looked like someone used to being obeyed. Her name was Evelyn Carrington, CEO of a tech firm everyone in town had heard of. Impeccably dressed, sharp eyes behind silver-rimmed glasses, and a presence that seemed to command every space she entered. Finally, she snapped as she opened the door. "You took long enough." Michael offered a gentle nod. "Sorry, ma'am. Traffic's been a bit heavy this evening." Her phone was already pressed to her ear. "Excuses, that's all I hear from people these days," she muttered, not at him directly, but loud enough to sting. He said nothing. He'd learned that silence can be a kind of grace. A few minutes into the ride, her call took a turn. Someone on the other end had made a mistake. Her voice rose yet sharp, angry, unfiltered. Michael could feel her frustration filling the small space of the cab. When she finally hung up, she sighed in exasperation. "Unbelievable," she said aloud. "People are useless unless you yell." Michael met her gaze briefly in the mirror. Then he spoke softly. "Sometimes as a broken bar people just need a little patience." Her eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" He smiled faintly. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Just saying, most of us do better when someone believes we can." For a moment, she said nothing. The city lights reflected in her glasses. Then she scoffed lightly and looked out the window. "Patience doesn't run companies," she murmured. He nodded quietly. "Maybe not, but it does raise good kids." There was a silence that followed, the kind that makes you feel something has shifted in the air, though you can't quite name what. They drove on. As they passed through a quieter neighborhood, Evelyn noticed the schoolyard, where a few children still played under the fading orange sky. Their laughter carried through the open window. Something softened in her fascia just a trace. After a while, Michael's phone buzzed with a message. He glanced quickly up. It was from Emily's teacher. "Emily's waiting in the office. No rush." But the clock read 6:10. He was already late. Evelyn caught the worry in his eyes. "Problem?" she asked, still guarded, but gentler now. "My daughter," he said. "I'm supposed to pick her up soon." He didn't add that if he was too late again, he'd get a warning from the school, or that Emily always tried to hide her disappointment when he arrived late. Evelyn looked away, then down at her phone. For once, she didn't type or talk. She just sat quietly, watching the world drift by. A few minutes later, she said something he didn't expect. "You can drop me at the next corner. I'll walk from there." Michael frowned. "Ma'am, that's still a good 15-minute walk to Silverline Tower." She gave a small smiley, her first that evening. "I could use it. I think I've forgotten what it's like to slow down." He hesitated, then nodded. "All right, ma'am." When the car stopped, she reached into her purse, pulled out a large bill, and handed it to him. He started to protest. "That's too much, she interrupted softly. "You've earned it. And a broken bar. Pick up your daughter on time." Her tone wasn't sharp anymore. It was something else, something almost tender. Later that night, as Michael pulled up to the small brick school building, Emily was sitting on the steps, her backpack beside her. When she saw him, Her face lit up. "You made it on time," she said, running into his arms. He hugged her tightly, breathing in the scent of crayons and bubblegum shampoo. "Always will, kiddo," he whispered. "Always will." The next morning, at Silverline Tower, Evelyn sat alone in her office. Outside, the city pulsed with its usual noise, but inside, there was a strange, calming quiet. She thought about the driver, his steady patience, his kind voice. She thought about the way he looked in the mirror, not judging, just understanding. On her desk sat a photo of her own son, taken years ago, before she'd become too busy to attend his soccer games, too focused to notice he'd stopped asking if she'd come. Without quite knowing why, she picked up her phone and typed a message she hadn't written in a long time. "Hey, sweetheart, I was wondering if you'd like to have dinner tonight, just us." Then she sat back, feeling something she hadn't in years, a small, steady peace, like sunlight breaking through clouds after rain. And somewhere across town, Michael and Emily were laughing over pancakes, the kind with too much syrup and not enough manners. The world was still busy, still imperfect, but for a few people, that day had been a reminder that kindness doesn't just pass the time, it changes the way we live in it.